I have spent the last 30 days trying to get rid of one of my worst habits in my studio and trying to develop a new productive one. And today I'm gonna give you the results. It's not just a self-improvement hack, it's an actual artistic method that most people should be using but that's sadly overlooked. See, we're creatures of habits, and for an artist, frankly, it's both a blessing and a curse. Putting on your apron, preparing your brushes, preparing your colors, everything is made of habits. Don't you think it's worth trying to make these habits more productive and more in line with your artistic goals? The real question is, are your habits helping you find new ideas? Are your habits helping you be more creative? Are they helping you focus more and finish more paintings? If not, then you might want to listen very carefully to what's coming up, because I'm gonna share my experience. 30 days I tried to put this new habit to the test, and at the end of this video I'm gonna share the results and my biggest productivity secret that I've learned from this experience. 30 days of developing this new habit every day. Alright, so here's my new habit that I tried to implement in my painting routine. Every day before I start painting or mixing paint, I take 30 minutes to do nothing but look at my work, like really look at it and do nothing else except maybe take notes and sketch a couple things. Alright, so here it is, day one of using this technique. I've set this timer to 30 minutes, approximately 5% of your daily work hours should be dedicated to that. So I'm gonna put my timer here. Like normally what I would do is I would get in my studio and I would start immediately preparing. So very often when I get in my studio, I'm very anxious to get started early, thinking I'm gonna save time if I start right away, if I start preparing and doing the lengthy stuff. But actually I'm losing time on the long run. Alright, so I'm at the end of my 20-minute session, and it was actually very revealing and very useful, because now I'll still have like 10 minutes before my break and I know what I need to prepare next. So I really think that with this strategy I can save some precious time, more strategically preparing for a nice day of work. So that's what I'm going to do today. That was day one. See, the big problem is we don't take the time to look at things anymore. We're in the age of scrolling, and there's been research by a Microsoft team that has kind of found that the average attention span is like around 8 seconds. It's insane if you compare it to the amount of time that's needed to actually finish a painting. And I have to admit that I'm also following this trend. I'm always on my phone, always scrolling, and I sort of developed a habit of not looking at things very intensely for prolonged periods of time. I do spend a lot of time working on my paintings, but in reality, the amount of time that I spend just only contemplating it, staring at it very intensely is pretty limited. Most of the time I'm busy doing something with my brushes, busy doing something on my palette, busy doing something with my model. This is the paradox of creativity. You're very busy all the time, but when you think about it, you never catch a break to just do nothing but contemplate your work. Just focus with no music, no video playing in the background, no audiobook, no podcast, no social media, just you and your painting, evaluating your progression, assessing your work up until this point. These are very rare moments. Okay, so this is day 6. And what am I doing here? Well, I'm staring at the painting from above and using the stairs to get a little bird's eye view. So if you have a spot in your studio where you can get a sort of a unique perspective on your projects, like this, for example, anything, it can be a good idea to get there every once in a while and just observe your painting from this unique position. You know, when you show your painting, not everybody is going to have, the perfect viewing spot. Some people will be far in the distance. Some people will be on the other side of the street, looking at your painting, and you want them to, be attracted to the painting from as far as you can,
So that's always good to have, these very unique, very poor perspective. Like from here, it's not the ideal spot to look at it, but at least I have something that might be unusual and that might reflect how a viewer might somehow experience my painting one day. This is day 15, and something that I like to do is to turn the canvas upside down, because it really takes your brain out of its normal routine and forces you to reconsider. Basically, everything you thought was true before is completely turned upside down. Some people even paint like that, because if you really think about it, whenever you're painting, you're mostly considering just very abstract shapes. Like turning it upside down is the best way to do that. Just force your brain out of this habit of seeing a nose, seeing an eye, and right here you mostly are forced to visualize in terms of shapes and not in terms of objects and concepts.
What's funny is that the more you stare at your work and the more your vision starts to be distorted. Some things that looked good in the beginning turns out to not be so great, and some things that you didn't expect to be good end up being more satisfying than you thought. Looking at your work for a prolonged period of time radically changes how you see it. And this is why this kind of little routine in the morning is so valuable.
Day 21 of this kind of contemplation ritual, and I can tell you that it definitely changes the approach and how you start your day. Every day I give myself a couple of key goals, and this better focus has helped me be more analytical, more organized. So even though I'm wasting a good 30 minutes at the beginning of my day, in the end I'm catching up because I'm more focused, I know where I'm going, and I don't have to stop during the painting process to make difficult decisions. I make all the difficult decisions at the beginning of the day, and then it's just execution, right? It goes much faster after that.
Even for me, 30 minutes of doing nothing but just looking at a painting is very long. So you actually start getting bored. And you might think, well, how can it be a positive experience if you get bored by your own work? But actually, boredom is very productive in creative terms. Some of your most innovative and inventive ideas might emerge when you just feel bored and you have nothing else to do. See, this is really something that we're lacking in this age of constant distraction and entertainment. But if you get bored, the only entertainment that you have is your mind entertaining itself, and this is where all the creative ideas come from. Think about it, when is the last time that you actually got the luxury of truly experiencing boredom? Now, obviously, boredom is not the only thing productive about this, and most of the time what you'll end up with is just things to change in your painting, corrections to make for the day, ideas of new color ideas, new composition ideas. And over the 30 days I compiled a lot of things to fix. Mostly it was a list of corrections to fix, things to change. So now let's talk about the results at the end of the 30 days. Every morning I spent 30 minutes just looking at this painting to try to finish it and push it to the next level. After the 30 days, I ended up being capable of finally finishing this painting that was really dragging on. And I'm so happy that I got to finally gather the rut, rekindle the flame with this project, and finally finish it. So what's next after the 30 days? Am I going to keep this habit? Absolutely. Now, I'm probably not going to be as rigid with the timing, so I'm going to keep this habit of taking notes, sketching some ideas, and coming up with a plan for the day. This is really a plus in terms of productivity. So here's the productivity secret that I got from this experiment. Sometimes you think you're wasting time contemplating your work, but contemplation is fundamental in art. If you don't contemplate your work as if you were the viewer, like you think that you're looking at your painting enough, but I was thinking the same. I was thinking, well, I don't need to do that. I'm always looking at my work, so who cares? But doing it actively and consciously, it's a game changer in terms of productivity because you know how to move forward. Yes, technically you're always looking at your work, but looking at your work actively is very different from looking at your work while you're doing other things, handling your brushes, mixing your paint, doing other stuff in your studio, and looking at the painting in the middle of all. This uninterrupted contemplation session is really a key to knowing how to move forward, coming up with a plan, and having a clear vision. And maybe I'm stating something obvious for you and you're already doing it. I don't know. I know that it helped me. I have a lot of experience drawing, painting every day for hours, but I can tell you that with time you start to take some bad habits. And for me, doing this consciously took me back to the day I was just starting. It really reminded me of what it felt like to be a beginner, where you are way more self-conscious of everything you do. Everything you do is not automatic, so you have to think about it very thoroughly. Well, it's actually a great thing, and doing this every day or before every session really helped me with this, finding a new vision and finding a new focus. So if you feel kind of lost, if you feel that you've lost inspiration, maybe this is what you need to do. Just take some time and contemplate.